Yes, you're gonna have people turn their backs, but it's time for us to keep it real. Just keep talking that real, bro. Do what you do. I know what you do, so keep doing that. Talk the real.
The HPI lads will see you now. See you now. See you now.
I don't want to cause no problems. I just want to live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense.
So Shifty exploded that laptop, and then last week I managed to back my car through the roller door and rip the aerial thing out of the top panel. So now I've got a hole in my roof that's being repaired. It's just like, never made a claim in my life for business insurance. It's like, claim. Just
triple whammy, bro.
And then we got a 5-day lockdown. So
damn,
comes in threes.
Wasn't that OTT?
Oh, man. I don't know. He takes a big jump off one case, but it's the first case he had in 10 months. Like, I wasn't against it, but I have watched the community, obviously we've been blessed over here. WA's been playing around like it never existed. And this was a bit of a shock to a lot of people. But I think by day 2, everyone was just like, all right, we had enough. But we're still wearing masks when we go out. Everyone's jacked with that. My ears hurt. But small price to pay. And hopefully by Sunday we're out, right? Like I'm going to crank up Future's mask off and dance around the house.
Still going?
Yeah, so still on mask when you go outside. Shit. You don't have to wear it at home. Don't have to wear it by yourself in the car. Don't have to wear it at home. But if there's like you and someone else in the car, you got to wear it. And you go anywhere, you got to wear it.
It's the same. So, the same as what I've got to here. That's so stupid, bro. That's a whole nother topic. But
yeah, it's just is what it is though. Like at least we can work. Like they shut us down last week. Physio was done. Telehealth only.
Fuck, no face to face at all.
At all for the full week. Just done.
That's hardcore, like lockdown.
Yeah, it was like
we still could still work.
Yeah, we could last time. This time he went flat out, which I actually played the game smart because the information hadn't come out yet. It said it was going to be a 5-day lockdown, and I was just like, fuck it. I pulled the ripcord, just closed, sent my emails through, got my front desk to call everyone, and was just like, we are closing. Whereas I saw a heap of other clinics, Physio, Chiro, and above, messaging everyone to be like, yeah, no, we can still be open. Don't stress. We'll be here for you. And then literally 2 hours later, it came out from the APA and from ACA being like, no, you guys are closed. Then they had to go back to their patient base and be like, whoops, sorry, actually we're closed. It takes a bit of your credibility away. Like this is why I just cut to the chase, right? Like either wait till you know what's going on, or just double gun, because then I look like I'm genius that was like, yeah, no, we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's true. It's unprecedented times, especially over your way. So there's I believe a lot of leeway. Like people, it's just because it's unpredictable. But in saying that,
there was no leeway on this. You opened on Monday morning, you got reported.
Yeah.
Like it was a 10 grand fine. Like the thing was though, people responded. Like the lockdown announcement came at like 11 in the morning. We had until 6 p.m., which is when the lockdown ended. The information about the close came out at about probably mid-afternoon, but people had already jumped, which I get. But it should have been like, you can just see people you need to be like, hey, listen, at this stage, pending further clarification, where like people jump too quick and then like created this sort of issue. And I was just like, you have to take the information in, and like it's like everything, right? You have to try and take emotion out of things in business. Like, and it's very difficult, especially listen, we were about to have one of our busiest weeks we've had. We're just fully rebuilding out of jam. I've got hopefully soon another lad starting with me in like 4 weeks. I'm trying to get myself fully maxed out so I can just focus in on him. And of course, it's just like, I mean, just that week close will just its trickle-on effect will probably cost the business over 10K, right? Like,
yeah, it's annoying. It's a delayed, definitely a big delay, and you can lose clients in that time as well.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Because people I had a bunch of new clients that have not rebooked to come through, right? Like, and you actually get a weird thing. So I had a lot of new clients book for that now that we're open. But the problem with that is, coffee has arrived. Thank you very much. Thank you. Rubra, again, sponsor us. Sponsor us. But the problem with it is that I get a lot of new patients in, but because I've got like a bunch of my regulars in limbo trying to figure them out, because a bunch of them a fly phone, they got stuck for a double thing, so you can't get in contact. They're now coming back, and I've got no space to get them in. Like I've had to actually go to my, I think we've talked about setting up the book before. I've had to move back to just set slots only for new clients, because otherwise you start doing things and then you piss off your regulars who are your fans, your devotees, and those are the people that you can't lose.
Yeah, you don't piss
This
them
is
off.
cooking it.
They're sold. They're coming back on maintenance. They love you.
Yeah.
They tell people about you. They're too
Yeah.
valuable
They live it.
to piss off. Yeah.
And then you're like, they're losing their slot. It's like, it's a training thing, because I know like Michelle, who's my front desk, who's an absolute lifesaver, absolute godsend, was a machine last week on the phone helping everyone out. But she's like us, right? I hate saying no to people, especially people who need help.
Yeah, of course.
And you have to be like, well, there is open space there to put someone in, but no, that space isn't available, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to learn to play that game. And we have to be, I think Dan put a really interesting post up the other day, and I don't know if we spoke about it the other day, but about his whole thing about, almost pre-screening patients and telling them.
We spoke about that last week.
Yeah, a little through there. Like there are times where, like on the weekend, we open up on the Saturday for our first shift. Masks on. I'm fully booked out. I got people trying to get in. Couldn't get them in. I was already working like 2 hours past my normal shift. 2 new patients that day, both didn't show up. And one was actually like it was on both parts, because normally we would have checked in with them on the Friday to confirm. But because we were closed because of lockdown, we couldn't. And she booked online, but she thought she was just requesting information. So she's coming in, sweet. The next one, this is where screening wrecks, right? Like, because we have a pre-online booking form we send. And so we check to see where they're at, because they should have filled it out before they come. He hadn't. We call him, doesn't answer. We call him again about half an hour for his appointment, doesn't answer. Calls us at the time of the appointment and explains that he didn't fill it out because he figured he probably might not come because he's kind of busy.
Shit bloke.
Oh, man. There's like that. And then another one got called to a COVID test. So I had normally do 4 hours at a 6-hour shift, and I think it was 2.5 hours of people just didn't show up.
Fucking hell.
And just to make it worse, I'm going to finish the story of this. I had a new patient turn up at 8 a.m. who's actually booked for this Saturday. So he was a week early. He's in pain. He's limping. And I had to turn him away.
Oh, no.
And then the people who had the slots didn't show up.
Oh.
And then it was too late to contact him to try and get him back in.
The salt in the wound right there, bro.
Oh, mate. It was just like one of those ones where you're like, I'm so happy to be working again, but it's quintessential like private practice, right? Just that where you're like, I've gone out of my way to help someone.
Coming in threes, bro.
And someone's just come and giving you
yeah.
The worst. People, man.
The journey of running a business, especially like an appointment-based business where, you can chase up late fees and cancellations and all that sort of stuff. But man,
that's
really not really worth it, because you'd rather not piss someone off for $25 or $50.
Yeah.
And then never come back. Yeah. So you just on the chin, and then that shit happens. Someone's desperate. Oh, look, mate, I'm so busy. I'd love to fit you in. I just can't. Like, I legit can't because I'm so bloody full. Yeah. And then some people just bail. You're just like, oh, come on. Yeah. You not only fucked me around, but you fucked old mate around as well.
Yeah, it's the three, right? Like, you wasted my time, you wasted your time, and you wasted someone else's time that could have gotten help, right? Like, I know, like, it's such a weird one, though, because those are the same people. Like, if you hit them up and were like, yeah, listen, obviously, we've got a missed booking fee, it's $50. We'll just take that now. They'd be like, well, that's not fair. But if you wasted their time, they'd be the first people to complain. Like, we're in a weird spot in society where people are so like blank on the idea, like they're so valuable of their own time, but so unappreciative of anybody else's time.
Yeah, it's such a contrast and almost ironic that people think in the way they do, and in absolutes like that. And I've heard it, like I listened to a podcast the other day about people being the buzzword in nowadays is busy, too
Yeah.
busy. And I was listening to Andy Frisell talking about it.
Yeah.
And I was running like over $100 million annually. They're turning out of US in their companies. And he's like, he goes, if I heard someone told me they were too busy, he goes, I assume you're unorganized, you're prioritizing the wrong things in your life, you haven't got your shit together. He goes, why would I employ or work with someone who is too busy? He goes, people think it's a good thing to say that you're so busy, you're so flat out, this and that. And he goes, you got it all wrong. He said, you look like a dickhead. He's like, it looks like you haven't got your shit together. He goes, do not say if you're going for a job interview that you're flat out, you're so busy, your time's always occupied. He's like, well, you're not going to have time to do the things that I want you to do. So therefore, you're not a good candidate. And you think you can get the leg up by saying you're too busy and you're flat out. And he goes, this actually works against you. But,
well, yeah, man. Like it's like a new level of virtue signaling in modern society, right? Like
status signaling, whatever you want to call it. Literally, like, and I took a few things from that podcast, and I never ever through the excuse I'm too busy for this. I'm like, I just don't push it high enough on my priority list to get it done. And and because I don't prioritize it, therefore it doesn't get done. It's not that I'm too busy to do it. It's just that I'm obviously not putting it high enough on my list. And that's the sad truth of it, is that, like, well, you just don't care enough about it. That's all.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
I mean,
that's okay.
Fine. That's the reality, right? Like,
and
this is the thing that comes back. Like, you read, if anybody's read any, like, good self-development styles and that stuff, it's like everything in life is a choice, right? Like, whether I think shit happens.
Everything.
Yeah, but everything's a choice, because how you react to something that's out of your control is still a choice, right? Like,
after the incident,
like, so the incident may not be your choice, but after that, everything, what you decide, what you do is a choice. And this is like, comes back to that being too busy, right? Like, sometimes, like, I'm too busy. It's like, but I still went to bed at 8 p.m. and got up at like 8 a.m., right? Kind of thing. Like, I was up to almost 11 o'clock last night after an 11-hour shift, writing out people's programs, clinical notes, everything. So it was sorted, because that's my job. That's what people have paid me to do, and that's what I have to do.
That's right.
Now, did I want to be in bed?
Priority.
Yeah, I had to get that done, right? Like, there's no, because I know if I don't get it done there, then it's another day. Then it's another, like, you're creeping into your other stuff.
You break your agreements. People get pissed off. People 100%. Think you're unreliable.
Yeah, but
it's not good.
It's also a reflection for me to go, all right, well, how can I make this process more efficient, right? Because I want to be able to, like, the dream. I remember a lot of chiropractors, they're like, the last patient finishes, and within 30 seconds I'm done and I'm heading home. I remember sitting there after a shift when I was like, how are you doing that?
Like, how?
How are you doing that? And then I realized this person doesn't write clinical notes or give rehab. So life's real easy when you're not being compliant.
Very true.
I mean, this is a while ago now, but
Or the other classic, and I was guilty of this, because, and chiros might not be, because you guys do such fast appointment times, but when I used to work as for someone else, I was about to say as a physio, like, I'm still am a physio, but
you're like pre-wizard.
Pre-fucking bike up. I would be that dog, and this is why I think I'm so strict on myself, and now Rilan and Tez, and then I try to push this message across of stacking value in the service, and just trying to over-deliver, over-service, whatever you want to call it. I used to, like, needle a client and then leave them in, and then I'd go sit on my laptop, write all my notes, and then go, all right, I should go rotate these needles out now. So I'd have my notes and everything done, like, every session like that.
Yeah.
And I'd be a little bit unethical. I'd be like, someone come in and I went late with someone, I wouldn't always give them the full time on the next. I'd always be chasing my tail and trying to get back to being as punctual as I could. And sometimes I would cut some time off some people's appointments. And I now look back and wonder, like, man, I never got that busy at these clinics A, because I was new, B, because I was possibly, definitely unorganized. I definitely cut some people short, and I definitely could have put more effort in, but that was like the standard of that clinic. So I was like, I was on a morality sort of level as the clinic. I was like, I'm playing by the rules here. But it wasn't until I started running my own business where I'm like, man, and my brother was really good at reining me in on this. He's like, bro, if you can just run on time in the medical industry, you're already ahead of people. Already. Like if you can be punctual, if you can get people out on time, he said, just hammered it. He said, just run on time. Then you can actually advertise that you run on time. He goes,
it's massive, man.
As stupid as it sounds, he goes, I'm from the outside looking in. He goes, I actually want to make sure when I turn up to my GP, it's in and out.
It's the worst.
Because if I'm waiting half an hour for my appointment, it's like that's just too much time out of my day, and it really fucks me off. So therefore, just do that. And then the other thing was, if you do run overtime with someone, or you are late, and it's your fault, not the client's fault, don't prioritize your time over theirs. Make sure you forward the message on to the next person or whatever, and just say, hey, sorry, I'm running 5 minutes late. I apologize. This doesn't mean that this is not coming off your time. So this is just my own fault, and I just want to give you a heads up. And then if you stack like back to back to back, it's just like, fuck, I got to send us 6 messages at the time.
Send the train.
And it hurts you because you end up running usually over again. And it's just like, man, 10-minute lunch break rather than a 45-minute. Fuck, I done fucked up.
But it comes with the territory, and that's responsibility, right? Like, and if you do it a couple of times, you usually get very good at not doing it again.
Yeah, because it's too painful. Plus, you might lose a client over it. So I might say, look, man, I had to cut it 10 minutes short anyway because I had to run off. So now you've just lost 15 minutes. I'm just like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Then I end up knocking off 25% of the cost price. It's just like, damn, there's so many problems that come from just not being organized and punctual.
That one does come back to as well, something we've talked about before. Like, I don't have a time-based service.
That would be cool. Yeah.
So like I book people for a certain lengths of time in the diary, right? But when I'm describing it, when my staff are describing it, each appointment has a rough, like we can expect that if you're coming in for a new patient, you're probably going to be here for about up to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Coming up for a report, probably up to about a half hour. And if you're coming in for an adjustment, anywhere up to about 15 minutes between the time you arrive and the time you leave, right? Like, But that way, like, I had someone the other day, a new patient, real simple, flew through it. Like, we were done in like 35 minutes. Person's, again, it changes the focus from time focus to results focus, right? Because I think it takes you and changes you. And this is my opinion, but I think it changes you from being like, thought of like the Thai massage parlor where you're going in for a 90-minute rub to I'm here to get something sorted. And if you can sort me in 2 minutes, I'd rather that than sort me in 60 minutes because I just saved 58. But like, because everyone's like we just talked about, everyone's too busy. So I'm like, I remember someone's like, is that all you need? And I was like, yeah, sweet. And someone said to me, it's like, oh, like I can get 60 minutes down the road for this. I was like, sweet, for like $50. I'm like, yeah, that's great. But if I can fix you in like 5 minutes, maybe you should pay me more because I just saved you an hour, right? Like, I just saved you. Yeah, I just saved you wasting your life. Like,
I bought you some time. You should be thanking me.
Yeah, like if you just want to rub down, sweet, go get one, right? Like 100%. But like you have it in your own title, mate. Like, we're here for results, and I will give you exactly what you need to get the result.
Absolutely.
But we're not going to lie around and sit around and just do fluff work because it feels dandy and we're trying to fill up. When I've worked to clocks, you're like, the student clinic was the fucking worst for it. I don't know what your student placements were like, but we had like our new patient was an hour and a half.
Whoa.
And I think our normal adjustment was like over half hour or something. And I remember you just like, because you had to go out and get your clinician, present your case, come back. But still, like, but then the clinician would like impose how they wanted you to do things. And they're like, oh, just go, I'm busy at the moment, just go do a heap of soft tissue. I'm just like, no, like,
Oh.
like they don't need that. They're like, yeah, but I won't be able to get there for like another 10 minutes. I'm just like, well, then we're just going to go have a chat, because like, I'm not just going to go like,
Filling time.
oh, and you'd see it, like people are just like sitting there doing scrape work or massage work. No reason, no need for it. Like, I'm going to put some hot packs on. There's nothing wrong with it. But it just, you're not, like, this is, the school didn't set people up for, as we talk, like, for that business success, right? Because school teaches you nothing about private practice. Like, and people come out and they try and run the same model as the school, and they wonder why they're going under after 6 months, or why after a year they've left the profession because they're so disenchanted, and they feel like you spent 5 years of your life, you probably got a hex step that's close to 100K, and you're turning over 40 grand and driving like a Excel to work. Like, shit.
You're catching a tram to work.
Oh, mate.
Well, that just comes down to obviously expectations, not only from the client, but also the practitioner. And obviously, if there's a third party, even the third party. But I categorize like shit when I'm talking about like someone's, clinical or diagnostic IQ versus their social IQ versus their manual therapy IQ, their adjustment IQ, whatever. I sort of break each skill down into obviously how good the person is at that type of skill. Like if you play a sport, for example, it's like the footy IQ. His footy IQ is really high. Like reflexes are all great, decisions are all really good, performs every time. So I believe like when there definitely should be, because in our course, and this I can only speak for what I did and where I studied, but we've spoke about this before, the business training and the push to be somewhat of a private practice / entrepreneur / businessman is, that there was not a path to do that where I studied. And if anything, I would say it was almost discouraged, because we work in healthcare, and what we were just talking about just before we started recording, and that's why we jumped on mid conversation. We spoke about damn, what was I was overthinking that, the fact that the people who go into business,
like if you go into healthcare for money, you're in the wrong industry, right?
Fuck, sorry, bro, I completely forgot. I
was like, I knew where you were going. I could see it, and then I was like, you're getting that dad brain, mate. You're getting ready. It's just where you look at something, you're like,
entrepreneur brain, bro.
Right. You're just standing there in the kitchen holding a nappy, and you have no idea how you got there.
And it's you've forgotten the date and the time and, and who's who. Anyway, what we're talking about is that like the fact that, I've lost it again. The basically the training that you get for running a business and for anything business and marketing and promotional, like it was highly discouraged from, not even highly discouraged, but discouraged from where I studied. And you've lost me again there, bro.
But like practice management is what they're like. You used to see all the like practice management coaching, and all the lecturers and all the people would be just shitting on it. But the simple truth, and I have the utmost respect for a lot of the lecturers that I went through with. They were great teachers, but they weren't great practitioners. There were some exceptions, and they were beautiful. And there were some there that never practiced, right? Went straight into academia, and they're shitting on like what people are doing in practice. And you're like, how would you even know? Like, But this comes back to like you said, right? Like, and this came from me. Like, obviously, I was talking to you before. I was listening to Quinn Hennock on My Muscle Project. Shout out to those boys and lads. And he's talking about, the boys are talking about, because the boys are very business savvy, right? Like anyone who's not following My Muscle, Lockie and Raph are very business savvy crew. Through trial and error, like all of us, but
experience.
For physio, for chiro, like there isn't really that in their mind. They're like, what's the potential? Have they earned big money? And Quinn's like, well, listen, if you got into the health industry for money, you probably should have gone elsewhere, right? Like if that's your only driver, there's much better industries. Finance for one. I mean, we are capped, right? Like as practitioners, you can only see so many people. There's only 3 or 4 ways to make money. This my coach says, like, you either charge more, see more or sell more, right? And selling more includes having more practices, more associates, stuff like that.
Scaling,
Yeah.
Scaling your business well,
or just selling supplements and rollers and shit as well, right? Like products and stuff like that. So there's only ever 3 areas you can make money or make more money than you currently do in our industry, but all of them have limits. The price can only go so far because it's got a time limit as well. You can't just suddenly be like, well, in 20 years from now it's going to be $1,000 appointment. We'll start now. 2, you can only see so many people, and a lot of the people that are, as we talked about, constantly like no punctuality, always behind, are trying to see too many people in too short a time. And then the other one, the product and the expansion. This is a great one for like little stuff. Like I've got supplements, I've got shirts, I've got massage guns, I've got a few little bits and pieces to help people get. I'm about to bring on an associate. You've got, you got Roland, you got Tez, you got crew there. But also this is fraught with issue because as this expands, I don't know why my pinky has become this, your confounding issues expand as well, right? Like some people talk about like just having a second place of business is difficult, right? Like, because then you have to worry about another overhead. You got to worry about staffing there. Like if you go to a third, then it's a true nightmare. Like, because then you almost have to start, this is where you have to start having full-time admin staff just to handle all the pay, supers, all the back end. So suddenly, like in your mind, and I've seen this countless times in my industry, people like got 8 clinics and rocking and rolling. Yeah, they got 8 clinics, but they're actually making less cash than they were with their one because they've now got like, their business turnover is 10 mil, but their costs are 9.5 mil, right? Like, you're making 500 grand, but this person was already actually making 500 grand for their first 1 or 2 clinics, right? Like
margins, that's all. It's the margins.
But
so
the stress, they're like, I know a lad right now who literally turned to me and says, like, I had 5 clinics. I thought I was rolling hard. And then I realized I was working like 80, 90 hours a week just to keep them all going. I was constantly managing staff. He's like, I now have 1 clinic. It's just me.
I think I know who you're
and I'm
talking about.
happier. No, I don't think you will know this lad. If you
Not
do,
Melbourne.
no, not in Melbourne, but I tell you, that's what I mean. It's a common story, right? Like they're happy. He's happier. He works less. He makes great cash, and what he did is consolidate into a different avenue with his money.
Yeah.
Like
huge.
Crypto. We won't start you up, mate. But Haven is going.
Shameless plug. Fucking get on the Haven train.
Mate, I'm pushing one of my best mates' deals, and he's like, because it's jumped again. He's like, oh, it might be too late now. I was like, no, mate, it's going. I took Bitcoin profit and bought more Haven the other day. Like, mind you, I
fucking love that.
I do think Bitcoin's about to take a bit of a pullback, bit of a filthy pullback.
Oh, she just hit a new all-time high, so maybe.
I know, but she jumped 10 grand in a day. I think that's. We'll talk off camera once we do it, but I've got some stuff to chat to you about on that space as well. We might have to do just an HPI crypto episode.
Yeah, 100%. And back to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We've spoken about it before. You just brought it up then, and I just went and had 2 fucking. I don't know what I had. I just stopped thinking twice.
Yeah.
So I'm not
just had some seizures. Just getting seizures. Yeah.
I had a transient stroke or something back to back. The old, trying to make money. Like you can make money in healthcare, of course, but what's making money to you? Is it making 100 grand a year, or is it making 10 million a year? It's very subjective to what you want in life. And if you're in healthcare to try and like make a fuckload of money, I said you can do it. Top 1%ers can do it. If your systems are squeaky clean, you've franchised well, you're selling X amount of products, you're just dominating, and as you said, you're charging well, you're selling heaps of products, your retention's through the roof. You franchise your business and you expand it and that sort of thing. But if you're purely in healthcare just to make dollars, like for me, those kinds of people usually don't end up in healthcare because it's like an empathetic or empathic, compassionate type of industry, which does attract those types of personalities and people. So often, and as we've all battled with ourselves, is that, I'm here to help, and help again is subjective to what you want to do with people. But if I charge more, I might feel guilty about it. Or if I sell this, I might feel like a dodgy salesman. I'm like, and then obviously we need to restructure those sort of values that you hold that are obviously, not true. And, not sometimes true, depending on your motivation, your incentives for doing things. But long story short, it's hard to make a lot of money in healthcare. And the more you expand, especially like physically expand with the business, obviously expenses right up with that. As you said, it's a monetary cost, it's an emotional cost, it's a psychological cost. Like, I can 100% tell you, I look like shit at the moment, and this kid isn't even born yet. The kid's coming in 3 months, and I've been like cruising off 5 to 6 hours sleep most nights for 3 years. And I'm just like, this is getting too much. And I'm like, and it's just going to get compounded again. So I'm like, man, I'm going to have to pull back here, because my investment of myself is just like, it's going to run me into the ground and cause resentment to what I do. It's going to make me not want to work. It's going to make me not want to be around people. And
it's the burnout.
And I didn't plan to get it. I didn't plan on it going the way it has. So I was just literally talking to my mate, was our business coach to start with. I'm like, and she's like, it's the same old Ben. She's like, when are you gonna start putting some strategies in place to avoid these things from happening? She's like, now you're realizing. She's like, I'm happy. Let's organize a strategy session. You need some help. I'm like, I need some help because I'm tired.
You got to ask, man. Like, I mean, you've got the luxury right now that you can clean your image up just by shaving your head. But
100%.
Just suddenly he looks $1 million. But it's like, I mean, I've talked about before, like one of the biggest mistakes I have found in this last year has been particularly bad for it, not just because I'm building a new practice, because of COVID. I normally take an obvious like quarterly break, right? Every quarter I'm taking a break, just a small one, but a full step away from the practice, at least a half a week, and then usually at least 1-2 week international run. And that's done intentionally to reboost the energy, right? Like, because this is a energy giving profession, right? Like, people are taking, you have to come in high because people are taking that energy from you to help their healing process, right? And eventually, if you're getting tapped out, you got nothing to give, right? You can't give from the empty plate. And I remember people that, I don't want to take a break because it's going to hurt the practice, man. I come back and I'm busier than ever because people sense it, right? Like, people sense these things. Like, I've had
you see
telling
it.
someone a story the other day. I got a colleague of mine who did a bodybuilding show, who is a chiropractor. And this dude was a seriously busy dude. Like, so sees 2 to 3 times the amount of people I do, right? Like, and I don't see someone like, like he's in Gold Coast, absolutely flying, super high energy. He's Norwegian. So if you know the Norwegians, they are a high energy bunch, right?
A happy bunch.
gets into his last, that last push into the show, like, can barely talk, right? Like, because the body doesn't talk because it doesn't want to waste energy because you're in such a deficit. And like, I remember hearing from one of my friends went and did a locum up in the same practice and was talking to one of the other chiros. And in that last like 10 weeks of this other guy's cut, the other dude suddenly got a lot busier because all the patients shifted to him. Now, this dude's patient base dropped by almost 50% because they felt like they were worried about him. They were coming to the other chiro and being like, is he okay? Like, it was like he was cheating on them, right? And it was just all because he was getting cut in for the show. And
emotional investment wasn't there.
Yeah. And that's what I think. So he was committed to that, and he knew that was something that was going to happen, because after he did the show, he sent out this huge email. He's like, I'm back, motherfucker. This is just like, just him eating pies and like punching everything back in. And of course, everyone rolled back in. But you have to, like, that's a really extreme example of energy management though, right? Like, sometimes you don't know. And I've had times where I'm in there and like one of my patients is like, man, you look tired. Are you all right? And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
that's not a good sign. Like, if they notice, I mean, I know we don't just want to rant stories. I had another friend who we won't say what profession he is because it'd probably give away who he is. But we were sharing patients. I had patients come to me from this person and be like, is he all right? Because he fell asleep while he was massaging me. Like, literally fell asleep. And
Well,
like to the point of where they thought maybe he had drug issues going on. He just so overworked.
yeah.
He was exhausted. So like you're in there, they're face down. He's like
Oh.
releasing the back, and is literally just like falling asleep on people.
I've been there, bro. I've legit been there.
Yeah.
You're talking about me.
But this patient wasn't mad. They were just worried
Said,
about it.
"Just run it, run
And I
too
thought it was a
hot."
one-off. And then I had another patient say it was all right. And I had to like, when you're like, first time I was delicate, I'm like, hey man, how you doing? This, all good, all good. You're like, you sure everything's good? All good.
Things are
I was
good.
like, all right, no worries. Then it happened the second time, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? He said, well, yeah, he's like, I've had 2 patients come in and said he fell asleep on him. I remember it wasn't obviously my practice, right, like that. So I had like an off, but we put him on a week holiday, came back and he was good as gold. But
Yeah.
just like that shit, like he didn't even know, didn't even realize.
You know.
But didn't realize how, like, I think he's having those micro things. He didn't realize patients are noticing. He's not realized how far deep he is, and he fallen asleep on people.
Well, damn, that's a bad place to be, bro, when you're falling asleep.
Oh man.
Damn.
I'm lucky that we're always on the move. It's very hard to have that.
Yeah.
Like, this is another reason I don't put clocks in the clinic. It's because I don't want to be like, one, I don't want people constantly looking at the time, and 2, I don't want to be like constantly looking up at the time, being like, just half an hour to go.
Yeah. And that's like on that topic particularly, and I haven't ever had, in the last 3 years, I haven't had many days where I've actually looked at the clock, and I look at the clock to keep on time. But I don't look at the clock and think, oh man, I've got only 6 more to go or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that to me is sending alarm bells fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Because if you're fucking just grinding and working just to get
if people
to
are just
the
numbers,
day, that's fucking depressing, bro.
Oh,
like
man,
that's not a life to live. Like you can't live like that. Like if you don't like what you do, obviously circumstantially, you can't be there. You again, like as you said, you're wasting your own time, most importantly, and you're wasting your fucking employer's time, or you're wasting people's time that you're working with. It's just like, have a rest, and in that rest, maybe consider what you want in life. And you obviously, are just having a bad time, and you're just really tired, and some shit's going on in your life, or B, you just don't want to be there, and you've got to be honest with yourself, and you say, fuck, well, maybe I shouldn't be here, and I quit and reevaluate my life. Now I'm doing something really cool.
Yeah, well, it's that like sunk cost fallacy, right? Like a lot of us are just people stay in things because they've done it for so long.
It's just familiar.
And that can be work, it can be relationship, all sorts of stuff. It's just like, oh, we're too invested, I'm just going to keep rolling. It's like, well, if you for a moment think you need to get out, right? Like you need to have a real good look at that feeling.
That's a danger.
Because like I can remember going way back to having with an ex-girlfriend, like 6 months before I broke up with her, standing, looking at myself in the mirror like a giant pussy, everybody. I'm going to admit it, and just being like, you're going to break up with her at some stage in the future. You know it. You might as well just do it now. It took me fucking 6 months.
Yeah, it's hard. We've all been there too. It's like,
but like, because you're like, when I'm like, fuck, but we're living together. Like I'm studying. Like I was just making all these reasons why, like you're like, oh, it's too much effort. Whereas, and the thing that ended up doing it is I finished.
Respect.
Well, man, I finished I think I finished my clinic. It was my entrance exams. So it was a crazy time. I literally drove from the exam to the post office and diverted my mail so I would have to go home and do it.
Yeah, it's done. So you
got home,
force yourself over the edge.
I was a fucking mess too. I 9, when I get stressed, I get mouth ulcers. I had like 9 mouth ulcers. Just finished the biggest exam of my life. I was just like,
just a shell of a man.
This is not working.
This is not working.
Oh man, just such good times.
Oh,
the best,
man,
right?
This has been great. This has been a good combo, bro.
This has been good bands.
Moral of the story, you just gotta. It's cliche. Like, do what you want to do, and like, if you can monetize passion as well as make some money from it, then do it. Like this, I'm sure we both know Cade, right? Plumber, a big reason why he's have his ongoing injuries, and we got talking. He's talked to you about it. He's talked to Mina about it. He's talked to all the boys about it. He's like, well, if I was to do something like you guys, and I really love what you do, love training, this and that, how would I go about it? I go, well, if I was to do it again, here's my pathway. these are my recommendations. Go chat to Nath, go chat to Maddie, go chat to Mina, get everyone's opinion on it. And we'll all have something around the same sort of, guide. And then now he's studying remedial massage. He's deciding, he's like, where do I go? Physio, chiro, osteo. I'm not sure. I'm leaning towards osteo. I'm like, I said, mate, either one of them is good.
Yeah.
But I can give you some business advice as to what I would do if I was to restudy, and it wouldn't be physio. I'd go be a chiropractor.
Get the paper, mate. Get the paper, get in the industry, get rolling, right?
And my big thing for health professionals is, sorry to cut you off, is like take the highest place you can on the hierarchy of skill sets. And for me, manual therapy and lumbar and spinal and cervical adjustments are right up there. So I'm like, if you can get to the top legally and officially, so then you can always work down from there. But you only can go, you can't go surpass what your legal and tertiary educations. You cannot do that unless you go get extra training. So I'm like, why don't you just aim for the top and then work it out after that? That's my opinion.
Just go hard and then go from there, right?
Yeah. But it's amazing to see. And I found that a lot of clients have come in through the COVID periods and lockdowns, and they've completely done 180s on their careers. I said they realized that they were just in habit of doing what they were doing, and they were unhappy. And like, just sit down, think where you want to go in life, and then try to put down at least some actionable steps towards that. So it's good to see.
Nothing like a forced shake-up, right?
Yeah, had to.
Yeah, no, good. I think it was a bit of a rambling today, and you had a mid-transient ischemic attack in the middle of it, but some really good stuff there. I think it's just, like you said, man, people understanding. I think it comes back to the same thing I talk about people every time they sit in front of me, and you do as well, right? Like, what is the goal?
What do you want?
Because there's no point in me giving you X or us doing Y if your goal is C. Yeah. And this goes for everything in life, right? So if your goal is just to be massively wealthy and all that stuff, and you're looking at a career path, if you're not interested in health's not the place to go, right? Like, if you want to help people and get rewarded for it, then boom, man, like 100% get in there. But also, like you said, then we always have to dig deeper. What does wealth look like to someone? For some people, they just want to make 100K. Some people just want to own a house.
That's right.
Yeah. Some people want like mega yachts, and those people are fucking dreaming.
They ain't health professionals.
Got to go invent the So Right or some other thing like that.
Yeah,
right?
that's what we'll do, bro. We'll have some e-commerce going.
Oh mate, we're on the pipe. Well, brother, thank you as always. I'm sneakily writing you a message in the chat, so don't run away before the day. But everybody, it's been epic. I don't know if we have an outro on the podcast anymore.
No,
I'm going to do it. So don't forget, share the love, right? Grab the screenshot, throw it up, tell us what you enjoyed. Make sure you're sharing people podcast. It is available on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get your podcast. Throw us a 5-star review because it really helps. We are going to get better at making sure they come to you more regularly. Guarantee it. We may have 3 children on the line, but it'll happen.
That's my fault.
It's all our fault. Like we said, everything's a choice, right?
Thanks for listening, guys.